Hi, this is attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores. If you are a healthcare provider and are having problems at work or your board license is in jeopardy, call me. After nearly 25 years of experience, I can help answer your questions and we can try to help get you a defense. You've worked hard for your license. Remember, 361-887-8670. Call Joe Flores. I'm a nurse practitioner and a lawyer.
And welcome to another edition of South Texas Now. This is attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores, reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KRS and KCTV. Those are our NBC and CBS affiliates, and Telemundo. Bienvenidos todos que hablan nuestro idioma español. And I also want to extend my deep thanks to Carlos Lopez and his father, Don Humberto Lozano Lopez. He passed away at 2011, but he's honored, he's venerated, and he's never forgotten. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you about something very, very important. At this time, and information is still being gathered, but the medication Depo-Provera, which is used for birth control and hormone supplementation, has been found recently to have over 5 times the risk, if injected at least twice, of brain tumors and blindness. What we know specifically about the brain tumors they are called meningiomas, or the covering of the brain and the spinal cord. What we also know is that lawsuits are being filed against Pfizer, which is the manufacturer of Depo-Provera. I'm not making this up. And alleging that the company failed to warn users about the increased risk of developing brain cancers. What's more, there is a big lawsuit going on in California right now, and it's Christina Schmidt. This is a matter of public record. You can look it up. Schmidt filed the first lawsuit in California in federal court in October of 2024. And she's claiming that Pfizer knew or should have known about the risk of developing these meningiomas, or brain and spinal issues, brain cancers, from Depo-Provera for decades. Now, this medication has been around since 1959. It's over 100 nations. Canada is even having lawsuits against them for other reasons, such as bone thinning, which can be a side effect of hormone supplementation. But, cutting through the math and all the science, what we know is that if somebody has taken it more than twice and they've had a brain tumor or they're having visual disturbances, they may be eligible for compensation. But we don't know what's going to happen with these lawsuits. Now, generally, individuals who are suing, it can be a class action or it can be individual action. And how do we make a class action, ladies and gentlemen? It's numerosity, commonality, and typicality. What does all that mean? There's a bunch of numbers of people that were affected by this. They have a common issue, and it's typical of what they're saying as far as the side effects of Depo-Provera. So I believe with reasonable certainty that these lawsuits will be moving forward. Other lawsuits that are being filed are seeking damages for medical expenses, lost income, and emotional suffering, and also the impact, how it impacts the quality of life. Now, these are things that in any kind of personal injury case or pharma case against a pharmaceutical company or their drug, you have to prove those things, and you have to prove negligence, causation, damages, and that means that did they know or should have known that this was going to cause something, and that cause, is there a direct link to it? The British Journal of Medicine and other reputable publications have indicated that there is a more likely than not 5 times plus more chance after ingesting the drug Provera. How is it taken? Now, there is by mouth, but generally by injection. And those injections are issued orderly about for women that are on it. And those studies have shown, the typical stuff. And how safe is Depo-Provera? Well, for years it's been used in multiple countries, but now these things have come to a head that there are damages significantly related to people injecting it more than twice. Depo-Provera is a drug that is used, and it's progesterone. Other uses for this drug I found interesting were giving it to sexual offenders to make them, it's called chemical castration, where it takes away the desire or for, sex or anything like that. And so Depo-Provera is a drug that has been around, as we have said, for decades. But in this instance, I'm very concerned as a public health matter and as a nurse practitioner and a lawyer that people are being affected adversely by this. Childbearing age women, as well as maturational onset, menopause, and things like that. So we need to be extra vigilant about this. And if you or a loved one has been affected by this, give us a call, 361-887-8670 or info@FloresDecCPAP.com. We're going to take a brief break, but when we come back, we'll be talking about the history of these lawsuits and how this could impact even you at home or a family member when we come back.
My name is Joe Flores. I'm a lawyer and a nurse practitioner. I was raised right here in South Texas and sold newspapers in Alice, Texas. As soon as I could, I started working in the hospital. Helping people has become a lifetime mission. I went to law school to help people even more. I understand medicine and I understand the law, and I will give your case the attention it deserves. Call me.
Hi, this is attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores. Have you taken the drug Depo-Provera? If you're a woman of childbearing years or a person receiving hormone supplementation and you've been diagnosed with visual disturbances or brain tumors, give us a call, 361-887-8670. That's 361-887-8670. The law offices of Joe Flores. We are watching out for your best interest on Depo-Provera.
Hi, this is attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores. If you are a healthcare provider and are having problems at work or your board license is in jeopardy, call me. After nearly 25 years of experience, I can help answer your questions and we can try to help get you a defense. You've worked hard for your license. Remember, 361-887-8670. Call Joe Flores. I'm a nurse practitioner and a lawyer. Hi, this is attorney Joe Flores. Have you been arrested, busted, and disgusted for a DWI? You have rights. Give me a call. Backed by 25 years of experience in the legal field and 30 years of experience in the healthcare field, I can look at your case. 361-887-8670. You have rights. Call me 24/7.
And we're back after a brief break. You've been listening to and watching South Texas Now right here on NBC and CBS affiliates. And don't forget, nosotros estamos en Telemundo también. Okay, so we do that and on KTMB. Special thanks to Lopez Broadcasting. So we left off, ladies and gentlemen, about the drug Depo-Provera. And if you're just joining us, we were talking about it being linked not by me, by medical journals, by research analysts and scientists, that Depo-Provera, more likely than not, can cause cancer, brain cancer, and it can also, called meningiomas, the covering of the brain, develop tumors. And of course, we're not oncologists, and we're not trying to give medical advice. We're just telling you the bottom line on the studies. So let's kind of deep dive into Depo-Provera. We know that Pfizer is presently the manufacturer and producer of Depo-Provera. This drug has been around for a long time. It can be ingested orally, but generally by injection every quarter for somebody of childbearing years and other populations, female populations. But once injected, if you've done it at least 2-3 times and developed any sort of hint of brain cancer or blindness, this is a tragedy that's happening. But, we have to critically look at it, and you have to ask yourselves, if you've been on it long term also, or know somebody who has, we need to see how many years have you been on Depo-Provera, and have you been diagnosed with any CT or MRI variances from what's normal in the brain, and do you have any reoccurrence, even if they're benign, and they said, no, that this thing is not a cancerous tumor, but if you've had numerous tumors or more than one, we want to know, and we'd like for you to call info@FloresDecLawFirm.com or 361-887-8670. And also, we also have to look at, was the person that on Depo-Provera, the birth control agent, or hormone supplementation, were they also receiving any sort of surgical intervention to the back, the brain, that may have been a missed tumor, but during a surgery was excised, and maybe as a post-operative note they said, hey, after the surgery, the surgeon says, we saw a tumor in the brain or in the coverings, but it's not, cancerous, or they biopsy it or whatever they're going to do. But nevertheless, somebody that has had any type of anomaly, or it's different, from normal on their MRI or CT, we want to know. And if you've suffered complications, medical damages, or lost wages because of it, or trying to rule it out, if you have memory disturbances or vision issues, that also can be affected by Depo-Provera, the birth control hormone supplement. And if you've lost your job because of it, these things are very real. Nowadays, ever since the last 20 years, there has been a lot of movement towards tort reform. There is the fact that 31 of the 50 states voted Republican red. And so we're looking at this also from the aspect, the lawsuits, because it's conservative juries more and more, and the courts are more conservative, we need to make sure that we have nailed this down. And so experts come in. So let's go to the legal side of things. When you are in trial or in court and you bring one of these lawsuits, like the one that's been filed in California against Pfizer for making Depo-Provera, and the woman in California alleges that she got tumors and she suffered greatly from taking Depo-Provera, you need to prove it up. A jury, and let's just be honest, most of us that served on a jury or have been called to jury duty, you've got a lot going on. You're taking care of a parent, kids, you got a full-time job, you're commuting, maybe they'll fire you or try to get rid of you if you're too long on a jury trial. So people are afraid of the unknown, even though jury service, even though it's a cliche, it's true. I mean, we have the best system in the world, in my opinion, in legal justice. But serving on a jury is an honor and a great service, but it can be a great intrusion or impedance on your life. So when people sit in a jury, I have to remember, they're thinking about that. And so when we put on evidence on these cases, we better be able to not waste their time and say, is there a positive link between Depo-Provera and brain tumors and blindness or memory loss? And all right, all that happened, can we show the person suffered or will suffer in the future economic damages? And that's pretty much it for every person, every individual affected by any pharmaceutical agent. And so, we want you to know your rights. One of the main things that I want to finish with is that Depo-Provera has been around a long time. It's been in multiple countries, but even different scientists and physicians from all over have been writing about it in the British Journal of Medicine, in our journals, and we want to let you know that it's important for you to call 361-887-8670, the law offices of Joe Flores.
Hi, this is attorney Joe Flores. Busted and disgusted? Give me a call, 361-887-8670. In an accident? Call me, 361-887-8670. If you're a healthcare professional, if your license is on the line, if you want to make your own business, if you want to have some good advice with somebody who's been in both fields 30 years, call me, 887-8670. Call now. My name is Joe Flores. I'm a lawyer and a nurse practitioner. I was raised right here in South Texas and sold newspapers in Alice, Texas. As soon as I could, I started working in the hospital. Helping people has become a lifetime mission. I went to law school to help people even more. I understand medicine and I understand the law, and I will give your case the attention it deserves. Call me.
Hi, everyone. This is attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores, reminding you to join us right here on South Texas Now, each and every week. NBC, CBS, Telemundo, si hablamos nuestro idioma español también, and also KTMB Lopez Broadcasting. We thank them. I want to take the opportunity to bring out an issue of public concern. As a healthcare provider and a lawyer, it is my duty to educate the public and also to let people know what's going on that can impact their loved ones. We're talking about the makers of CPAP masks. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Sleep apnea plagues many individuals in the United States, especially big guys like me and others that maybe have sinus problems, airway problems, asthmatics, things like that. It's important to look into getting a sleep study. Before we delve into the problems with CPAP that have been arising, that have led to a $1 billion lawsuit and other lawsuits that are following because of how they constructed the CPAP mask, this is just one. Many of them are very, very safe. This is just the exclusion to the rule. So I want to first underline, get help with sleep apnea. And what is sleep apnea? Well, picture yourself being waterboarded all night and you can't breathe. Your airways are blocked up. You're panicking. Your blood pressure's rising. Your heart rate is speeding up very much. And perhaps you're impacting your heart, your lungs, your brain, all of your body because of a lack of oxygen. Many sleep studies show that people stop breathing multiple times during the night for extended lengths of time. So again, my example of being waterboarded, I've never been waterboarded, but I've certainly felt that my airway was blocked up a little bit. So CPAP machines can be lifesavers for many individuals, especially those that are high risk. If they've had a history of your parents or your brothers, sisters having heart attacks, strokes, or just having trouble sleeping. A lot of people say, well, Joe, how do I know that I have sleep apnea? Well, I'll tell you. If you're having difficulty concentrating when you get up, first thing in the morning, you have a headache every day for at least a couple hours, that'll be a giveaway. And it's lack of energy, falling asleep during the day, much worse, falling asleep while driving, just feeling groggy, those kinds of things. And if your neck generally is above 17.5, 18 inch, and I'm not just saying, obese people, but big guys that are muscular too. I mean, you have all this aperture here of muscle and sinew and things and fat. And when you're trying to sleep, you can choke up or snore loudly. That people will say invariably of a CPAP guy or needs CPAP, man, I can hear him or her snoring from the other room. And so that not only impacts your health, but what about your partner? What about your family? What about travel? What about embarrassment if you're on a plane long-term trying to get some sleep? All these things we need to consider, and also public safety. But let's get back to the lawsuit at hand. Now, we've had different products out there that help people sleep. And again, I'm going to underline that most of those products are extremely safe. But what we've found is During that study, Philips, the company that made that, they found that the pads in there, because I'll just say it on mic or make the sound on mic, like picture your partner or your loved one has a CPAP mask. Ordinarily, it should just make a noise like a low hissing sound, but sometimes the pads come off and then it's like an air hose going crazy. And that interferes too. So people were frustrated. So I make these pads, that they put in. And a good friend of mine, Charles, he's a great lawyer. We're working on these together. And the pads there release particles. Those pads that are supposed to muffle that, like a mic, you don't have all that noise because of the muffling. That release particles. Now, the particles have to go somewhere. And these... the synthetic material, like supposed to be sponges, parts of them released into the lungs and causing lung damage. And that's what we're talking about, just an isolated product. But the CPAP machines are, I'm telling you folks, relatively safe. But, the maker of this particular machine, and we're going to get into it in depth here in a second, the makers of these machines have caused lung problems and things like that. Now, we're going to take a brief break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the effects of the makers of a particular CPAP machine on people's health when we come back.
Hi, I'm Joe Flores, attorney at law. Whether you're busted and disgusted, whether you need someone to help you out on civil cases, serious injuries, or if you have a business that need guidance, we're here to help. And if we can't help you, we'll find somebody who can. Remember Joe Flores, attorney at law, 361-887-8670. Call me now, 24/7.
And we're back. You're watching South Texas Now with attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores, reminding you to join us each and every week on NBC, CBS, Telemundo, Si Hablamos Nuestro Idioma, and KTMV Lopez Broadcasting. If you're just joining us, we were talking about CPAP masks and sleep apnea, which is plaguing America and many other people nationwide, and worldwide. But we also have the issue of obesity. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But we have to face facts that over a third of Americans now have weight problems. And so along with that, what can we do to prevent heart attack, stroke, problems like that? We need to wear CPAP masks, and that's continuous positive airway pressure. These masks have been around for a long time. Basically, it mechanically blows air into your airways, keeps the airways open because you've got all this muscle and fat and, ligature here that's holding everything up, and it collapses when you're asleep. And if there's not an airway, that's why you need the CPAP machine. Unfortunately, some of these, as a public health concern and message, some of these machines, the foam that they had in there released particles and things into the lungs. And this is a very isolated case. But Philips made these, and there are class action lawsuits and things that have gone on over $1 billion. But what happened is they had foam on those, so you wouldn't hear this hissing. The missus wouldn't hear, it'd be very slow and very soft because of these foam pads. But unfortunately, things were released. So they're alleging that lung, kidney, cancer problems, heart attack, stroke, and even heart failure and pneumonia. So we're looking at that because they were saying you got to be a U.S. citizen. It had to happen before the year 2024 that you were exposed to this and all that. They're even letting people consumers send back their CPAP machines. But this is only one in infinitesimal amount of the machines and the makers out there. But just as a public concern message, we're letting you know. But back to CPAP and the apnea people may feel. As I was saying in the last segment, it's like being waterboarded. You may feel that you're gasping for air, or your partner or somebody else in your family may say, he stops breathing, he or she stops breathing, and then the loudest snorer in the house. Well, it can be embarrassing, but also life-threatening. I mean, every time you stop breathing and your airways get blocked up, it's like somebody trying to choke you. And your heart, your lungs are working overtime. And that leads and predisposes you to many things, such as obesity. It can lead to heart attack, stroke. And so we're letting you know, please get a sleep test. Contact a neurologist or your primary care provider and see how you can get a sleep study today. Often the insurance will reimburse you for a sleep study, and technology has gotten so good out there. You can do your sleep study. A lot of people didn't do it. You'd have to go to a sleep doctor's office, and they had beds there, but it's not your bed. It's not your routine. Maybe you're used to going to bed at 11:30. They put you to bed at 8 over there, and you're not going to go to bed. So with that being said, now you can have a portable one at home in the privacy of your home and do a sleep study and find out the real deal. If you're stopping sleeping, you're not getting enough sleep, the quality of sleep is bad. How do I know? Well, you wake up maybe with a headache or confusion or a fogginess, just a plain old fog, hard to concentrate, sleeping during the day, falling asleep at the wheel, the most dangerous thing. We've had cases where a truck driver had CPAP, undiagnosed, needed CPAP, and he had obstructive sleep apnea, meaning blocking it up and he can't breathe, and plowed into somebody because they were asleep. Now, these are very, very important sets of information we're putting out there. People that are on the road, people that want to, prevent a heart attack, stroke. I think that CPAP or the continuous positive airway pressure machines out there, coupled with a sleep test, will set you right. We got a couple of minutes left, but I want to remind you that with every good thing out there, there are products that can affect you. The Philips company sure make great products here and there and are remediating this problem and owning up to it. But the foam, again, that would cut down the airway, the hissing as the airways remained open, released particles causing cancer, heart problems, heart attack, stroke, and even heart failure and pneumonia. So keep that in mind. Just as a reminder, South Texas Now is here for you to educate the public and to let them know about their consumer rights and also about their health and safety. When our next episode comes out, we're going to be looking hard at continued analysis and consumer watchdogging of products, medication, and other things out there that may endanger you. Thank you for joining South Texas Now. And you may reach us at 361-887-8670 or info@FloresDecCPAP.com. Thank you, and God bless.
You've been watching South Texas Now, featuring Joe A. Flores from the Flores Law Firm. For questions and comments, please call 361-887-8670 or visit FloresLawFirm.com.
My name is Joe Flores. I'm a lawyer and a nurse practitioner. I was raised right here in South Texas and sold newspapers in Alice, Texas. As soon as I could, I started working in the hospital. Helping people has become a lifetime mission. I went to law school to help people even more. I understand medicine and I understand the law, and I will give your case the attention it deserves. Call me